that Bitcoin is a bubble. In fact, he says the cryptocurrency could soar to, get this, $500,000 in 3 years. The always controversial John McAfee joins us now. John, great to speak with you.
Great to speak with you. Thanks for having me on.
How do you get to $500,000 in 3 years?
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about people calling
you got
the
a
bubble.
bet going online on that.
Yes, I do. People are calling Bitcoin a bubble that's bursting. Now, keep in mind that 2 months ago, Bitcoin is at $2,900, and people were saying it's never going to hit 3. Well, it hit 4 and it hit 5. If you look at the long-term trend of Bitcoin, it has been consistently up. I mean, who cares that it dropped $1,000 from $5,000 after it went from the $2,900 to $5,000 in 2 months? It's still ahead from what it was 2 months ago. You know, my company is one of the largest miners in America, and one of the nice things about mining is it doesn't matter what the price of Bitcoin is. We still make money. As the price goes down, there are fewer competitors for mining, and the difficulty rate decreases, and we simply mine more coins.
Let's switch to Ed Snowden, if you don't mind, John. And I want to talk about him because there's a lot of talk whether he is a hack or a hero. What do you think?
It depends on which perspective you want to look at Mr. Snowden. From my perspective, I think he revealed something that we all knew. I mean, we're being spied on by our government. Duh. Who does not know that? I mean, it's simply that Mr. Snowden has put a quantitative value on it and given the exact means, and some of the exact means of how that spying takes place. To that extent, he's a hero in telling us what we already knew and making us have to face that fact. The U.S. government probably does not consider him a hero. Vladimir Putin, the Chinese government, I think they both consider him heroes.
Go hand in hand, but blockchain's ability to track financial transactions in a way that is incorruptible, it gives it infinite amount of uses outside of the original purpose of using it for Bitcoin. Do you see blockchains overtaking certain aspects of the financial system as we know it now?
It will take over all aspects. People think that Bitcoin or the blockchain is owned by someone, by a company or by a consortium. No, this is strictly a mathematical formula that nobody owns, that we are all participating in. And we use the blockchain for everything from fixing supply chain problems in corporations to verifying the authenticity of the sender and receiver in a financial transaction. It is the most powerful technology that the world has seen, I believe, since the invention of agriculture.
The Digital Security Commission, what comes to mind?
Well, more spying is what comes to mind to me. Let me try to make this issue simple for the American public and for the FBI, who clearly does not understand. These devices are computers, whether it's an Android phone, an iOS phone, or whatever. Inside is a processor, which is a computer, the instruction set, which is the iOS and all the applications that you run, and the memory in which you store your data. Now, let's take the FBI case. The FBI wants Apple to change their software so that it removes the check for security, so that we don't check for security anymore. Once it has that software, it can use that software on any phone. But they say they only need it for one phone. So I'm going to tell the world exactly how we do this. Now, I'll probably lose my admission to the world hackers community. However, I'm going to tell you. You need a hardware engineer and a software engineer. The hardware engineer takes the phone apart, and it copies the instruction set, which is the iOS and applications, and your memory. And then you run a piece of a program called a disassembler, which takes all the ones and zeros and gives you readable instructions. Then the coder sits down and he reads through. And what he's looking for is the first access to the keypad, because that's the first thing you're doing when you input your pad. It'll take half an hour. When you see that, then he reads the instructions for where in memory this secret code is stored. It is that trivial. A half an hour. Now, I said 3 weeks. Why? Because if I got the flu or a cold, I did not want to have to eat my shoe, like I said.
See who we are. We are refugees.
We were, and we still are. So, China bans ICOs. Nothing changes. They shut down every exchange in China. Did anything change? Watch, the Bitcoin went up. In America, the Securities and Exchange Commission has issued 400 subpoenas. I'm one of these. They haven't served me yet. Why? I'm pretty hard to serve. 400. 400. And an SEC subpoena is nothing to wag your finger at. I'd rather served by the FBI for child trafficking or something, because the SEC can shut you down, not just economically, put you in prison and ban you from doing business forever in America. So these are serious issues that we're dealing with. And every government on the earth is looking at ways to shut us down. Why is that? It's because we represent the greatest threat to every world government that has ever emerged. And that threat is governments run on money. Where do they get the money? From you and I, the people. And how do they do that? Through a thing called taxation. How much money did you make last year? We're going to take 20% of that. Thank you very much. On down the line. And with that money, they fund their junkets, their trips to Spain, their yachts, whatever. How do you collect taxes when we're in a world, and I'm using Monero or a privacy coin, that nobody can trace the origin or the recipient of any transaction? It's impossible. So what happens to the income tax? We then rely on us. We're honest people. Now, the government doesn't have a clue how much money you've made, but you're going to go through and write down every penny and give it to them. Do you honestly believe that that will happen? And do you think our governments honestly believe that that will happen? It is human nature. If we know we cannot be punished by not reporting our full income, or even any income, we will cheat. I'm sorry. You may look at yourself and no, not me. I'll put the full amount.